Thanks for joining us again. This is Barry Kazire. Get ready for some real live marketing. Are you a small business owner that is confused over your accounting records? Accounting by Art can help you eliminate this confusion with a free initial one-to-one consultation. Art offers QuickBooks training seminars covering both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, as well as addressing your specific needs and questions. Visit accountingbyart.com and set up your free consultation today. If you're looking for high quality ink for your home or office at a great price, CR Office Technologies Inc. has the ink you need at the price you want. Visit crofficetech.com. That's crofficetech.com to get the price, the quality, and the service you've been looking for. Hi, this is Barry Kazire. Welcome to this episode of Real Live Marketing. Today we're going to be talking with Andy Magnus, my friend who is also an accountant. Andy used to work for the IRS. Now he's on the other side of things, helping us with our taxes and such. And Andy is a fun guy who makes a subject that's not so fun pretty interesting. Today, Andy's going to be talking with us about a marketing tool called Return on Investment. Basically, we're talking about what the bang for your buck is going to be, the bounce for your ounce, right? By the way, bounce for your ounce was an advertising slogan used in 1950 to market Pepsi. Bang for your buck, by the way, you may not know this, was most notably used by President Dwight D. Eisenhower's Secretary of Defense. The word literally means value for one's money, and was originally a political term, and it was used quite literally with bang referring to firepower or weaponry. It really did mean bombs for money. Well, today's show is going to be a lot less violent and a lot more fun. We're going to talk about return on investment and exactly if you put money in, how you can blow things up at your business. It's going to be about how to put your money or time in and make sure that you're getting the most return for what you're putting in, money or time-wise. Well, we've forgotten those old definitions, but I don't want you to forget this new one. Return on investment marketing-wise means how much money you put in, how much money you get out. If you put $1 into a project and you get $43 out, that's pretty good. Various marketing tools have different return on investment. The right marketing tool for the right project has the optimum return on investment. Now, again, today we're going to be talking about not just money, but also time. Investing your time wisely, marketing-wise, results in the greatest possible return. Obviously, you've got 24 hours in the day. Everybody else has 24 hours in the day. We're all on an even playing field. We can utilize other people and utilize our own time optimally to get the best return on investment. That's what Andy and I are going to talk about today. And Andy's quite the interesting character, as I mentioned. I don't use the word character lightly. Andy actually has the largest known collection, to my knowledge, of cartoon ties owned by an individual. Andy's cartoon ties, which he wears every day, he never wears anything else but a cartoon tie when he's wearing a tie, range anywhere from Bugs Bunny, Homer Simpson, Mickey Mouse, Bart Simpson, Charlie Brown, Fred Flintstone, The Grinch, Popeye, Wile E. Coyote, Rocky and Bullwinkle, and many, many others. So when you meet Andy, look closely at the tie. It's not always obvious, but there's always a cartoon tie there. Right after the show, I've got a fantastic tip for you, an extremely valuable tip that's going to help you to get a great return on investment from your time. So here's a word from our sponsors. I want to thank them for supporting the show, and then we'll be right back with Andy's interview. Feeling lost with accounting, bookkeeping, or payroll for your small business? Accounting by Art offers a free one-on-one consultation for the state of your business. Art Stump has years of experience helping small business owners with their accounting needs. He also offers QuickBooks training seminars covering both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, as well as addressing your specific needs and questions. Seminar participants also get a free 1-hour office visit after the class to be sure their QuickBook issues are solved to their satisfaction. Mention this ad at your consultation and get 10% off initial services when you sign up and pay for your first month. Visit accountingbyart.com today and get started. Tired of high prices and low service when purchasing ink for your home or office printer? CR Office Technologies offers their hassle-free guarantee. If it's not right, we'll make it right. They know that customer service is number one. At CR Office Technologies, you get great service on top of great products at prices that you can't beat. They have laser and fax toner cartridges, inkjet cartridges and paper, laser fuses and drum kits, copier toners, and more. Visit crofficetech.com. That's crofficetech.com to get the price, quality, and service that you've been looking for. Thank you, Andy Magnus, for being here with us.
It's my pleasure, Barry.
All right, great. Andy's business, as I mentioned, is MyTaxBuddy. And so we're going to talk a little bit about return on investment. But first, Andy, where are you from? Where were you born?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. And then when I was 12, moved down to Texas and had planned on being there the rest of my life until I met my lovely wife.
That's great. And you followed love to St. Louis.
I did, indeed.
That's great. That's good. So you like it here?
I love it here. I wouldn't leave.
Fantastic. Good. And you enjoyed your time in Texas too, I'm sure.
Oh, I did. It's, got a lot of great memories there.
It's a big place.
Yeah, well, Dallas-Fort Worth area. Actually, Fort Worth, Dallas area. For those that live there, they understand the difference.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Good. Well, good. And all right, so I know, what schooling have you had? Beyond high school, what other schooling, trade schools, vocational schools? Tell me a little bit.
Well, when I left high school, I went to college, and like a lot of people, didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. So went into the service for 3 years and came out and went back to the University of Texas at Arlington and got my bachelor's of business administration in accounting.
Great, good. And then where did you go from there? Job wise, where did you go vocationally?
Vocationally, well, while I was in school, I got a job at a regional CPA firm and worked there until I graduated and continued on with them for a couple of months until I got a job with the Internal Revenue Service.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I was an Internal Revenue agent and a trainer in the regional training center.
How old were you when you started working there?
Oh, gosh, that would have been in 74, so I'd been 26.
Okay. So you became an IRS agent at that age. How long were you with the IRS?
I was with them for 5 years,
okay.
And then I had an opportunity to open my own business and have been there ever since.
Great. And so you've had your own accounting firm and more recently established MyTaxBuddy.
That's correct. I still have the accounting firm, but I'm really putting my focus on MyTaxBuddy.
That's great. And so did the IRS experience, as we'll call it, help you in helping business owners to navigate those waters?
Absolutely, Barry. It was, I know how they work. And although it's been a number of years since I've been there, their basic philosophy hasn't changed much. After all, this is the government.
Okay. All right. Enough said. All right. Good. So those are tricky waters, I guess, for some businesses. So, and you help them navigate it pretty well.
I've been really successful, and yeah, it is. There are tricky waters, but again, as long as you understand the rules, it's not as ugly as it is as some people believe it is. I believe in having fun in whatever you do. So, having fun with taxes is something we do.
Yeah, it's important to know the rules. That's true of anything. If you know the rules, you can't be taken advantage of.
Exactly. And that's true in marketing too.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Good. So we're going to discuss what return on investment is, ROI. You may have heard the term ROI. Andy, give us your definition of what return on investment is.
Well, return on investment is what you receive back for what you've put in, essentially. That can be in the terms of money. You've put so many dollars into a project, and then it comes back to you as it starts paying off. Now, when you're in a project, you want to look at return on investment, ROI, but you also want to look at your return of investment. So you need to have both going on for you. But so let's just say you're putting in a $2,500 advertising campaign, monitoring the results coming back. You definitely want to have multiples of that $2,500 coming back in based on the money you've spent. So let's just say your $2,500 brings back $10,000. That's a decent return on investment. So again, as long as you can measure it, you can manage it.
That makes sense. We've helped a lot of decking contractors as well as other businesses, but I'll use decking as an example for return on investment for postcards. We've done postcard campaigns for these guys, and them sending out 5,000 postcards, really they need to sell one job to get the kind of return on investment you just talked about, turning $2,500 into $10,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 because of the size of the item that they're selling, and so they can get a really good return on investment on a postcard campaign. Now, I had a little tiny jewelry shop that had sold like trinket jewelry, inexpensive stuff to young girls, and did a postcard mailing. And the number of responses that she needed to get because she's selling at like a $10, $20, $30, at best $30, $40, $50 at a time. The amount of return, or the amount of people that had to come into the store and purchase, substantially different, totally different. And we actually recommend not using that tool because it was perilous return on investment wise, and we steered her in the direction of a different marketing tool.
That makes perfect sense. And again, you've got to know what your costs are. And so many people look at, oh yeah, I had $10,000 in sales, but you had costs in those sales. Like in your decking contractor, a $10,000 job doesn't mean you made $10,000.
Right.
You've got decking material, you got labor, you've got other things that need to be factored in.
Sure. Yeah, they need to get, really like getting 3 decent sized jobs off of a 5,000 piece mailing that'd be way plenty, considering in materials, labor, and all that. They could do really nicely from that kind of, that was easy. It was like shooting fish in a barrel, sending out 5,000 postcards. So it was a good return on investment.
That's true. The other thing you really need to look at is a lot of us who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, we spend a lot of time networking with people, doing, meet and greets, one-on-ones, maybe you go to a regular Chamber of Commerce meeting, and there's a certain amount of time that you're investing in those. And many times people don't consider that you have to look at the return on investment, not only of your money, but also of your time. If you're spending hours and hours and hours every week meeting with people, doing, going to these meetings, if you don't track how much money that's coming back in, you may be working for less than minimum wage.
It's true. Yeah. Finding out, that's where, like in promotion, you want to track back where that person first met you, where did they hear about you this time that prompted them to call you. Tracking those little bits and pieces would help you to track back, oh, wow, I've gotten 3 leads from this particular Chamber of Commerce, but I haven't got any from this other one. And so you can kind of you could make a decision based on that. Exactly.
And it's important to have systems set up to be able to measure that.
Yeah, a good CRM would be, customer relationship management system would be, a good place to track maybe that type of data? Or do you have any other suggestions?
Well, actually, I've created the tool MyTaxBuddy, and MyTaxBuddy is a non-accounting kind of record-keeping system, in that it helps you keep up with your expenses, but also helps you track your time. And the whole, nobody goes into business to do paperwork. I mean, and it's a necessity for what we do, because we, again, have to measure things to be able to know, okay, is this making us money or is it not? But we don't want to be spending hours and days and weeks and trying to get our materials together. MyTaxBuddy's done on your phone, your computer, your tablet, and it's all based on an activity. So it's like, Barry, what did you do today? Who were you with? How much time did you spend? Did you spend any money? And all of those, you answer those questions and then pull reports off at the click of a mouse. So it's very intuitive, and it's something you can do from your phone while you're waiting for somebody to get there. And it's very convenient.
That's great. That sounds great. So then you can refer back. You can say, okay, great. I had a great income this month. Now, good. So where did that income come from? Good. Let me look back at my records. Where did I meet that guy? Was that the first time I met him? Was it the second? Where did I meet him? Do I have any other records that show where I met him originally? Tracking back those things, you might discover that, a particular activity is the golden goose.
Exactly. And you can track, that's one of the things you can do with MyTaxBuddy, is track your activity by type of activity. And because you can create categories, you create the categories the way they work best for you, how you want to measure them to determine, are you making money on that activity?
Good, that makes sense. You got to have a system, and that sounds like a good, simple one too. Yeah.
Like I say, nobody likes paperwork. I'm an accountant, and I don't like paperwork.
Okay, good. All right, well, that's good to know. All right, great. Well, what would you say that, how often should you sit down, do you think, and calculate or examine, your time spent as it figures into the income that you're making?
That's going to depend on the individual kind of business. That's just a depends things. Again, if you're doing a lot of little things, it may not be quite as conspicuous where the business is coming from. You may need to analyze that more often. If you're doing like the decking company you were referring to, it's pretty easy to figure out where that business came from.
Sure.
So it's going to depend on where it is you are, the size of your business, the kind of business you're doing. And then again, it's important to have a system set up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like if you're a lone entrepreneur, you might want to, keep a very extensive log of where you are, what you're doing, and review that to see, what did I do this week that resulted in something, or what did I get this week that, you might want to even look at it on a weekly basis, where I guess if you're a bigger business, you don't necessarily have, the higher you up on the food chain, so to speak, the bigger the picture you want to look at.
Well, exactly. And it's, keeping up with it on a every couple of days, or even every day, or at the very minimum once a week, you can at least go back and track it. And I know a lot of people don't do their tax records, but once a year, and come March, they're spending nights and weekends and losing sleep and trying to figure out what they've done. And not only is it give them a lot of stress, because they carry that in the back of their mind all year, that, yeah, I know I need to do this, but the other thing it does is they lose deductions because they forget them.
Right. It's not good. It's not a good return on investment.
It's not. And tax savings is another way that you make money.
Sure.
I mean, that's, if we can get our dear uncle to pay for a part of an expense, because if we pay for it and we get a tax deduction for it, Uncle Sam is paying for part of it.
That makes sense.
So if you can keep up with it more frequently, you have more deductions, which means you pay less tax, which means you have more money.
That makes a lot of sense. What are some of the things, like with regards to leads, sales, repeat business? What are some of the things that you might suggest tracking so as to determine better ROI?
Well, you want to track, again, where did your people come from? In his book, The 7 Levels of Communication, Michael J. Maher talks about the great retrace, where if you, in your CRM, you can come up with a way to track where did you get your leads from, and where did, let's just say you refer me some business, and then let's just say you were referred to me, but then you referred 2 other people who referred somebody else and who referred somebody else. If I can take a look back at where all that business came from, it may have come from one person. And do I want to take care of that person? Absolutely.
For sure.
And so, but you can't take care of them if you don't know. And part of the what Michael Maher talks about is, by keeping up with this, let's just say you referred me some business, and then you refer me, let's just say you refer Claire, and Claire buys something from me, and Claire refers somebody else, and let's just say Winnie gets referred. Well, then when Winnie generates income from me, I will thank Claire because, hey, directly you caused that, and I appreciate the extra business, and it also gives me a contact with her, and it encourages her to continue to do that. And by the way, Barry, thank you for referring Claire to me, who referred Winnie. So now you're feeling important, and you're going, hey, I'm making a difference. I'll continue to do that.
That's great. So yeah, keep track of the people, like where people.
Right, and a good CRM can do that.
Good.
Yeah. There are several out there. Again, there's some that people like more than others, but
great. And then good. So we got the time that you're spending and where you're spending it, the people that are referring you to, other people, the marketing tools that are resulting in certain things. And I guess another thing you could also track is what you're selling.
Absolutely. Again, if you're selling, because certain people may refer certain types of business to you. It depends on what your particular business sells. You may have some big ticket items. You may have some smaller ticket items. And, your decking contractor may have full decking, but they may have some repair. And you may have some people that are really better at referring the repairs, and others that are good at referring full jobs. So by again tracking that, and if your system does that for you, then it makes it much easier.
That makes a lot of sense. That's good. So yeah, I mean, I would think that those records, one of the things you might learn is that, wow, we used to sell a lot of X, and we stopped selling that, and that was really good for our company. So having those records, you're able to refer back. Records are more important than just for, when the IRS comes along and they want to know that you're keeping track of things. I mean, it's just, this is just a whole nother avenue of looking at marking down those, taking notes and keeping track of what you're doing, where you're doing it, why you're doing it, how you did it. Those things add up to you discovering things that could be very profitable.
Absolutely. I mean, most people think that, QuickBooks or whatever accounting software they're using is really an accounting software. But in effect, it is a management tool that has an accounting function. And so, yes, it's important to keep up with the accounting, and it's important, of course, to categorize things in a way that is meaningful to you. One of the questions I get a lot on my tax practice is, Andy, what does the IRS want me to call this? And it's not important what the IRS wants you to call it, because it's either going to be deductible or it's not. What's important is, what do you call it that's meaningful to you? So, for instance, let's say I'm tracking my advertising and I want to see how we're doing, and maybe I'm going to print off some postcards in my office. I mean, it's impractical, or maybe some flyers because I'm doing a test market or whatever I'm doing. So I go out and I buy some printer cartridges, and I'm going to print these flyers. Well, the question becomes, is that computer supplies? Is that reproduction? Is that office supplies? Or is it advertising? The answer is yes. It can be any of those. What's important is, where is it meaningful to you in the management of your business? If you say, it really doesn't matter to me, it may not. But if you're trying to track your advertising costs and saying, how much am I spending on advertising, and this is really an advertising piece, it might be best to put it there.
That's true. Yeah, you might find that, wow, last January we made a lot of money. What did we do in December or January or even November before that resulted in that money? And if we'd mark those ink cartridges as advertising, then that would help to, give us that information. So we can say those flyers we put out, those were so good. And even people keep track of, it's funny, we talk a lot about collecting all of people's contact information. So for their email addresses and all those things. Restaurants, strangely enough, don't collect much contact information of their businesses that are people that come in to but what they're missing out on an opportunity to market to those people again and bring them back in. So that record keeping, you might find out some interesting things. You might find out that all of a sudden we're getting a lot of people from a certain zip code. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you're getting people from a certain zip code may then you know what, we did that one newspaper over in that area, and that may indicate return on investment that you otherwise would have no idea.
Correct. And that's why you use coupons, because you can do your A/B testing, where you give out a coupon in one area and then you give a coupon in another area, and you see and you measure, maybe make the coupon just a little bit different, and you see which one pulled better.
It's awesome. So, yeah, it's amazing. You have fabulous research data sitting right there in your office, and you don't even know it.
Well, exactly. And people don't think about that mailing list, be it an email list or be it a physical mailing address, is really some of your best marketing, because these are already proven customers. And if they're proven customers, then why not remind them? I mean, where you are. I don't know about you, but it's like, well, where do you want to go to dinner? I don't know. Well, if I got a coupon, it comes to the front of my mind. I'm going, oh yeah, we got a coupon from, Joe's Burger Shack. Mm-hmm. Why don't we go over there?
Right.
It's an out of sight, out of mind thing.
Yep. So there's a lot of, it's pretty interesting. The return on investment just on taking the time to collect that contact information is pretty substantial. Oh. So, like I get emails from a place called the Dubliner, which is downtown here in St. Louis on Washington Street, down by the Edward Jones Dome. If you like football, you can go down there and watch a football game. But we get emails from the Dubliner, and the only reason I even remember the Dubliner probably is because they send me an email maybe once a month or every other month. They shoot me a little email, and it's an Irish place, and they have strange Irish dishes that some of them I'd be scared to try, but other stuff is good, and we've gone there again because I get the email. So it paid. I know that paid off for them in more than one way, just taking the time to get their waiter to collect that information from me, or however they got it from me. Maybe there's a card or, a customer satisfaction survey or something. That's a huge, they cost very little or nothing to collect that information, and they made money off of it just because they stuck me on their list as a result.
And it may just not be you going, you may bring several people with you. So there can be multiples. And again, the cost, yes, there's some effort involved because you've got to somehow put it into your system. But again, if you don't have time to do it, there are virtual assistants out there that, again, taking a look at return on investment. If you're sitting there doing your books, or you're sitting there inputting information from the cards that you received, the surveys, but you could be out there making $100, $200 an hour does it make sense? There's, especially when you're getting started, it's like, why should I pay for this when I can do it myself? And it's a real prevalent thinking, and it makes sense to a point. If you're not doing anything else, then great. But if you can be out producing, if you can be out marketing, if you can be out generating income for your business, then it may make sense to pay somebody $20 an hour to do some of those things, or 30 or 40, if you're out there making 100.
It's true. Totally makes sense. Yeah, virtual assistants are a great way to, can have a great return on investment, because you put that money in to have them take that paperwork off your hands. You still keep the records, which, as we just discussed, can be really valuable later. But at the same time, you freed up your hands so that you can go do more contact work, do sales, whatever it is that you're going to do out there.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
And we've talked about having good systems in place too. And the systems are ultra important. MyTaxBuddy is a good system. I use a CRM called One Box Technologies, and it's really sweet because everything comes in on one screen. So you manage everything from one place. So information you gather, creating invoices, can be exported into your QuickBooks, or many things happening at once. And there's a lot of systems like that out there where you can go, instead of having a separate accounting system and a separate CRM and a separate mailing list and all those different things, combining them in one place, like we do with MyTaxBuddy, is just an amazing time saving for you. And the computer works a whole lot faster than I do.
That makes sense. I understand. So good. So we'll put a link to MyTaxBuddy as well in the show notes, so people can go and they can go check out that system. And let me ask you this: because of keeping track of records, and because tracking things to find out what the return on investment of something was, what's the biggest sale or deal that's led you to personally in your business? What is it? Because you examined return on investment and reinvested in something, or made a discovery in those records. What's your biggest success along those lines as a result?
Really, it's been going into speaking in front of groups. You can just do so much one-on-one. And one of the things I love doing with people, what makes me a little different, is I spend time with people and explain things to them, instead of just going, yeah, let me take your records, I'm going to put it in the return, thank you very much, here's your return, goodbye. And so I'm an educator, and I can do that one-on-one with a tax return, but I can make such a bigger impact by speaking to groups and then helping them solve problems, like through MyTaxBuddy, that then, again, that generates a great deal of business.
Great. So that's been one of your best tools.
Absolutely.
Public speaking.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. All right, good. Well, could you recommend, I know you just mentioned a book, and actually I think you're the third person I've had on who's mentioned that particular book. Do you have that and a couple other resources you might recommend for our listeners out there, where to help them get a better return on investment?
Oh gosh.
What was the book you just mentioned?
The book I mentioned is The 7 Levels of Communication, and I've read it a number of times. I've listened to the CDs a number of times, and every time I listen to it, I pick up something new. It's chock full of tools, and it's a story, but it has tools. And to me, that's The Go-Giver is another good book that I've had recommended to me.
That's by Bob Berg.
Right, Bob Berg. Another one that talks a lot about systems is E-Myth, and Michael Gerber, which talks about the beauty of systems. What he talks about is that the SBA will show you that in the first 5 years of business, 80% of businesses fail. But if you look at the franchise model, they fail at a rate of 5% per year, which is 25% during the first 5 years. And the reason is because the franchises have proven systems. And they have those measurement tools that give you the return on investment. And so the key really in creating a good return on investment is having the system that gives you feedback that lets you see, are you getting a good return on your money? Are you getting a good return on your time? Time and money, big issues for a lot of people.
That's great. All right, great. Well, we'll put all those books in the show notes for sure, so people can refer to them. And and we'll also make sure to put in there MyTaxBuddy, so people can very easily keep track of things and measure those return on investments and eliminate some paperwork, which we all hate. And I want to thank you, Andy, for coming and joining us today.
My pleasure, Barry. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks again. Is your website working for you? Is your website getting you results? Do you get daily or weekly leads? You should be. If you're not getting the leads that you need, it's time to reevaluate your website. Get our professional website evaluation. Go to reallivemarketing.com and sign up for our professional website evaluation. Let's get this done today and bring your website up to where it needs to be. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Andy's a great guy. That's a great component to have in mind as you're making your marketing investments, whether it's time or money. Now, as promised, I've got a great time-saving tool for you, or should I say a great way for you to invest some time and get a lot out of it. Now, we all drive, spend a certain number of hours in our car. We probably should spend a certain amount of time exercising. I'm going to turn you on to 5 of my most favorite marketing books. Each of these books is available on audio. I recommend getting them from Audible. Audible's owned by Amazon, and you can find a link to Audible in the show notes. And here are the 5 books I would recommend that you download and listen to when you're driving or exercising. These books are in no particular order. I don't have them as my number one. These are just 5 of my favorite books for marketing. One of the books is The Go-Giver by Bob Burg. Now, Bob Burg describes in this book, which is probably about an hour and a half listen, a fantastic principle, in fact, several, one of which is in the power of giving. Giving away your knowledge, helping others. It's a tremendous book. It's a book that is required as an understanding for marketers today. You must get and listen to this book. One of the primary things we do here at Response is design websites. One of my favorite books regarding website design is a book called Don't Make Me Think by Steve Berg. Steve goes into the whole subject of usability in his book. He talks about how to keep customer goodwill through the proper design of a website. Nobody likes walking into a store and not being able to find what they're looking for. It should be easily designed. It should be designed in such a way that the patrons can easily find what they need. It's very frustrating when you can't, and the store loses goodwill when you are harassed by a poorly designed facility. The same is true for a website. People will stick around trying to find what they need, but as they stick around and can't find what they need, their goodwill decreases. Steve's book is fantastic and will help anybody to design a better website. All of our designers have read the book, and it's a lot of fun to read too. The next book is Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Grant's book on sales goes over many principles that literally everyone should read. The first thing Grant does in his book is close you on the fact that you are a salesperson. Everybody is a salesperson or needs the skill of selling to survive better in life. If you can sell, you get what you want. Even if that getting of what you want is something you want for others, you have to be able to sell. If you want people to accept your ideas, you need to sell. If you want to go to the movie you want or the restaurant you want to go to, well, then you probably need to sell. Grant says it a lot better than me. He's a lot of fun to listen to. I highly recommend the book Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. One of my next favorite books is The Positioning Era by Reese and Trout. Positioning is a pretty fascinating subject where you place your product in the mind of your customers or potential customers. When you think about it, people generally describe things by relating them to something else, so as to acquire or obtain an understanding through familiarity. For instance, you'll describe a movie by comparing it to another movie, or possibly two movies to show that it's a mixture of both. Positioning is a fantastic book that relates how we think to how we think about products. I highly recommend it. And lastly, I'm going to recommend a book called The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary is enthusiastic beyond belief. Listening to his book, read by him, is a joy. But more importantly, he will spend about 10 hours or so closing you on the value of a customer. We should not take customers for granted. Gary definitely makes sure that we do not do this. And he has a lot of fun and helps you to have a lot of fun keeping and thanking customers. So I know you'll be happy with the return on investment of listening to those books. Enjoy them. We'll see you next week for another episode of Real Live Marketing.